Hi, friends. Welcome back to yet another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. It's so crazy that I keep making more episodes. Everybody thought I would be done after three. Randy, that was probably you. We have our guest today, Mike D. I found him, liking one of our videos, so he got to get streamlined to the fast lane to come on an episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I am doing okay. Wisconsin got hit with a blizzard. You would expect that living here, but I'm just so sick of snow. I've been in the Bobcat 3 days in a row, and I hate it.
Yeah,
So,
you got to be upset about Aaron Rodgers too.
I am not a Packer fan. Do not rope me into that category. So, I am a Ravens fan. That's right,
Oh,
Randy. The Ravens who beat your 49ers in the Super Bowl. They were a new team back in the day. Everybody in my family was diehard, and I'm just like, nope. I want to be different, and I picked Baltimore, and I picked a pretty decent franchise, but we got some drama there too. So,
yeah, that's true. Hey, my two favorite football teams, the 49ers and my hometown Detroit Lions. We
oh,
trying to
nice. Okay.
yeah.
I'm only making fun of Randy for liking the 49ers, but that's a good pick there. So,
Hey, I've been a fan of them since Montana and Rice. So I
very
think
nice.
Jerry
Very
Rice
nice.
go. So
Yeah.
they've
Talk
all,
about dynamic. Yep.
oh yeah.
So, we know why you're here. Let's just jump into it. What are some of your first wrestling memories?
Woo. Let me see. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So that's really around the time of the first WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan, Mr. T versus Bob Orton and Roddy Piper.
Okay.
I still remember that. I think my uncle was a wrestling fan, and I think back in the day you had to go to the video store and rent WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So I think I was over at my grandma's and he was watching it, and I think that's what got me hooked on to wrestling. And I could just remember my parents buying me the Hulk Hogan toys. Like everybody back in the day when I grew up, your first wrestling hero was Hulk Hogan.
Hmm.
I think that was mine.
Yep.
I can still remember watching on Saturday mornings, watching Superstars, Sundays watching Wrestling Challenge, and even on Saturday nights, Saturday Night Main Event. I still remember those episodes. The Mega Powers coming together.
Oh, yep. That dynamic. Yep.
When Jake the Snake threw the snake on Andre and he had a heart attack. And I remember when the Brain Busters won the tag team titles against Demolition in it was a 2 out of 3 falls match, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just wrestling has always been a part of my life. Like I said, since I was 3. I do remember a time where I thought wrestling was getting a little too cheesy when we
Okay.
have all the characters and stuff. And I had stopped watching it for a minute, but then I got into WCW, and that's when I started figuring out so that's where all the stars that leave WWF,
Hmm.
they go to WCW and vice versa. So, I kind of got back into it, I started learning more about like Sting and Lex Luger and the Steiners,
Hmm.
I've just been a big fan of wrestling, and it's been with me since now, and I'm about to be 42 this year, so it's been a long time.
Yep. And the nice thing is, in a previous episode, we mentioned that a lot of people do say they take that break, but the nice thing is you can always go back
Yeah,
to wrestling and fall back on it because once you get back into it, you discover old favorites,
yep,
new gimmicks. I guess we'll call it. We'll use the wrestling terms, and
yeah,
then you're just excited to see the characters and what is happening. Definitely with the landscape changing, like you mentioned, those gimmicks were kind of cheesy. But then when you got back into it, with WCW it was more reality based, and they were more themselves coming to persona versus dressing up as a garbage man or a hockey player or
yeah.
the Brooklyn Brawler, just to name a few.
Or
So
or Doink the Clown, and he had
yeah,
the little midget clowns, Dink the Clown, or something like that.
yeah, I remember my grandpa watching that one. He was running around the ring with a little horn, squeezing it on people. My
Yeah,
grandpa thought that was the funniest thing in the world, and I'm just like, what are we watching right now?
yeah.
So,
Even the Isaac Yankem character. I was watching the Kane by
mhm.
a couple days ago, and they was just talking about his whole transition from where he started to how he became Kane, and he
Mhm.
lot of characters back in the
Yep.
early 90s, mid 90s. And it's just it was just cool to see his transition and how he just grew as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing now is a lot of people will beg on. I'm a huge Otis fan. He's from my neck of the woods here where I live in Superior, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So a lot of people beg on him that he's more of the goofy, the comedy. And I'm just saying that to piss off Randy that he's like the best superstar ever. But you can't have 7 big men out there all being monsters like Braun. I call him almost because he's just almost got it figured out. And Big Show and all that. And if you have like 5 or 6 big guys, you're not going to stand out. So you have to do something that sets you apart.
Yep.
And then on, I believe it was Proving Ground, that was one of the first shows that the network came out with. He was on there trying out and trying to establish himself.
Yeah.
And William Regal basically said to one of the Tough Enough winners, I get it, you're a big, strong guy, but show me something that I'm not going to expect. Show me something different. And he went right back into, I'm the Yeti, I'm the big monster. And then here comes Otis, and he does the caterpillar. And it's like right there is what I'm talking about. It's something people wouldn't expect out of you. A big, husky, meaty man like him, busting out the caterpillar. So
now it looks like he about to join MMA.
Yep. I'm excited just to see the comedy with it. I don't think it's going. It could lead to titles. It could lead to more, but it's just another way to keep him on television, keep him in the the spotlight. Yes, Randy, we're gonna keep begging on you. Otis is the best, but yeah, it's another way to keep him out there. So
yeah, definitely.
And don't get me on a tangent about Otis. I'll fangirl out. So. It's cool that he's local, that you can watch in the previous episodes. I know you're brand new to the page and stuff, but it's kind of like a celebrity when he would come into town. You try to tell all your friends. He just posted that he's at the local gas station. That sounds creepy. I should stop. But so you mentioned Hulk Hogan being like one of the first favorites for everybody. Was there any other characters in that early days that you just gravitated towards? Were you an Andre fan? Did you like Jake the Snake? Were you afraid of the Undertaker? Give us kind of those personalities that you liked.
Oh man, I think I was pretty much a fan of everybody.
Okay, that's fair.
It was, but Hulk Hogan was like Superman, so it was just all the villains that they tried to put up against him: King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Mr. Wonderful, Rowdy Piper. They were good heels for Hogan, but Hogan always overcame it and got hulked up by the Hulkamaniacs and stuff like that. But yeah, I was a fan of those guys that he went up against. Jake the Snake was one of my favorites because he had the snake in the bag. Macho Man was definitely my favorite. George the Animal Steel, because he used to always bite on the turnbuckles.
Yep.
I'm one of those wrestling fans. Like I don't have a wrestler that I hate. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that they're putting on the show. It's just everybody brings something different. So you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I like Piper because he could talk on the mic and just he's Roddy Piper. Hulk Hogan because he's the star. He's the guy, the Michael Jordan of wrestling. And when the Undertaker came in, I don't remember being scared of him. I was just thinking like, whoa, this guy is for real. He came down with had the dead look, but I was mad when he beat Hulk Hogan at Survivor Series, and that was in Detroit too.
Okay.
At Joe Louis Arena, so I do remember that. I was pissed when he beat him because it was like nobody was really beating Hulk Hogan. So it was like somebody to really come in and beat him. It was just like, man, you know what I'm saying? But nobody would ever thought that Undertaker winning that title would lead to what he's become now. Like he's basically like what Ric Flair is, just a name,
Whole different level. You mentioned that a lot of people know him in and outside of wrestling. And you mentioned Hogan working all those guys. I got a chance to talk with Honky Tonk Man at a Comic-Con, and he mentioned that it was great payday to take the leg drop, brother. you were eating good that week on the road, he would say, or something. But then he got into the shtick about how, like, Hogan's this, Hogan's that. Well, he's the marquee guy. He's supposed to be a little snubby, but
Yeah,
honking ain't no saint either. But it's just kind of cool to think, Hogan got to work all those, awesome heels. Would it kind of cool, if they did more like they do now, like pass the title around? But that's a whole nother bag of worms. But one
yeah,
guy that stood out that I always thought was very intimidating was Earthquake. Um, and
yeah,
as a kid, I was just like, that is a big man. And I mean,
yeah,
I'm a big guy now, but like, it's probably the same size as I was. But like, seeing him in his massive state
yeah.
versus, the muscle of Hulk Hogan was just like, wow. Like, I was captivated. Like, that's one core memory there. But yeah, Earthquake, Typhoon, those big guys, And then when, like you said, Andre the Giant, those are some big boys next to another big boy. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember the rivalry Earthquake and Hulk Hogan had when Earthquake did his little finishing move on Hogan on the Brother Love show, and then
mhm.
this whole thing that Hogan was just like super injured, and they had
Yep.
where they could send him goodwill letters and stuff like that. And I think at Mean Gene was like conducting the whole little was reporting the whole little story. And I think he was so hurt that Hulk Hogan was out that he just was just like, I'm done. I'm done. So
Gotcha.
those are some good times in wrestling. And
Hmm.
it's there's still good times now, but
Yep.
it's a little different than what it was back in the 80s and the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that golden era I like because that was one of the first ones that I was introduced to.
Yeah,
I know we mentioned the cheesy characters. Some of them were fun. Some of them were like, "What are you thinking, Black Cat, Max Moon?" But definitely, the Marquee, the Warriors, not Warriors, Road Warriors, Ultimate Warrior, just star power right from when they walk out.
yeah.
So, do you remember any of your first live events? Did you go any do as a kid, or was it more as an adult?
Uh,
Um,
I
we
went.
jump into that here.
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, I did go to a couple house shows when I was a kid with my dad. I think I went to maybe about three of those.
Okay.
One of the matches I do remember, I think it was Ultimate Warrior and the Undertaker in like a body bag match or something like that.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
yeah. But as an adult, these last out 10 years, I try to go as many times as I can when they come to Detroit.
Very nice.
Yeah, anytime for Raw and SmackDown, me and my wife, we go. We've been to a couple of the NXT house shows.
Okay.
The first one that we went to was the best one. We had front row seats, and that was around the time Enzo and Big Cass were in NXT,
Okay.
Villians, Bailey, Sami Zayn, Ty Dillinger, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, the golden era of
Yeah. Yeah, that black and gold is definitely. I mean, if that was like, say, like on the marquee of Raw and SmackDown, I mean that could have rivaled Raw, with ratings because
Definitely.
that group of talent and what else came in after them was just amazing. Like Sami Zayn from the Independents to just being phenomenal there, being phenomenal in NXT, and then finally getting to show off why he's such a great wrestler.
Exactly.
It's that storyline alone is just amazing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty great that in Detroit you get all those like big city, you get all the big stuff. I mean, I got to travel down to Minneapolis, but I mean, they get some stuff, but obviously Detroit's going to be, you know,
Yeah. And then
bigger city for that. So,
I also went to the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view they had here a couple years ago.
okay.
When Kevin Owens went up against Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon dropped from the top of the cell, and
Oh,
Sammy
very nice.
Owens out the way. Yep, I was at that pay-per-view. That was actually the first wrestling pay-per-view at Little Caesars Arena right after they opened.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were able to go to the first pay-per-view there. And we hoping that we can pull off SummerSlam because SummerSlam will be here in Detroit in August. So
Oh, that'd be fun.
we trying to do that, and hopefully someday we can get, we know AEW was coming here in a couple of months. If we can't go when they come here in May, we're gonna try to go to another show. But yeah, me and my wife, we've been big wrestling fans, and we always try to hit anytime they come to Detroit or a part of Michigan, period.
Gotcha. Now, are you kind of more just the, I guess, there's pro and then there's independent. Are you a follower of your independent scene there in Detroit?
No.
Okay.
I'm more of a pro. Like,
okay,
I do get
that's fair.
I do see their Facebook pages, and I kind of scroll through there.
Mm-hmm.
The independent scene is from what I've like the videos and the stuff that I read, it's different. I think
Okay.
that's where the passionate wrestling fans, because I feel like those are the independent fans see the wrestlers before they become the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they have a different passion than the pro fans that just watch WWE, AEW, TNA. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of an indie stance guy because right now in Minneapolis and then my neck of the woods, there's probably 23 promotions running.
Wow.
It's crazy. I could name half of them and still forget majority of them. And we have a company around here called First Wrestling down there that's really fun. Heavy on wrestling, so they would bring like heavy on wrestling stickers. They bring in more of the legends, like your Jake the Snake, your JBL, well not JBL, like Ron Simmons. Whereas First Wrestling, they're bringing in the ones that are starting to make traction. Like they're the ones on the AEW Dark, like Sky Blue. She's been in a lot. I'm sure you've heard of Top Flight. They're out of Minneapolis, so that was one of their stomping grounds there, where they cut their teeth with First Wrestling. You got the Colt Cabana comes through. Who else am I thinking that, they just pass through, and eventually within like a year or two, you're going to see these guys, on the marquee television, like the Best Friends, the Lucha Brothers. I mean, it's crazy how many people come in there, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're on TV now, especially Dante and Darius. I've met them, I can't even tell you how many times. Super cordial guys, very humble. Even when they're not performing at First Wrestling, they're there hanging out. I know who they are, so I always try to go over and get a picture with them every time, just because they're so nice about it. So
that's what's up.
Yeah. So
at one, it was a SmackDown show I went to. It was at Joe Louis Arena, and I was leaving to go, and I think I went to go to the restroom and get me a beer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking, I see Apollo Crews. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, I don't know if he was using the bathroom or going to get something to drink. And I'm just like, I should say hi to him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm gonna leave him alone. But then I was just like, I'm just gonna say what up. So, I just said what up, gave him a handshake, and just told him, good match he had out there. I think he lost the match. I forgot who he went up against. But,
gotcha.
I just said what up. I ain't want to take his time. I ain't want to be all, starstruck or whatever. But it was just cool to see a wrestler you just had a match. Mm-hmm. You just, just out and about, like, hey, I'm blending in with everybody else.
Yep. I haven't really seen, like I call it the Wild, besides Otis, before he was on Raw and SmackDown, respectively. Obviously, he was in the, my store shopping, and I used to get on employees about using their cell phone, but I had mine in the little file cabinet up front, and I see him, and I was like, okay, this is the one time I'm going to break the no cell phone rule. I'm going to run over and get a picture with him, because this might be the only time. Unfortunately, it's not the only time I bumped into him. I'll have to send you the older episodes. Again, like, you're new to the page here. I accidentally crashed his mom's birthday party. I thought he was just out and about. I came toting in with my Money in the Bank briefcase like a stooge. Randy's going to love this, because he literally told me no autographs. You'd do a picture. He's like, it's my mom's birthday, man. I was like, I feel like the biggest ass. I'm going to go. Thank you for your time. I apologize, and I tucked my tail and ran out the door. So yeah, and then the guy that I actually interview on that episode, Nick, was one of his best friends growing up, so we got to kind of dive into that, and hopefully one day, I hope that Nick and I can work something out where I'm allowed to meet him. Again, and apologize profusely for crashing his mom's birthday party. I'm not going to bring the money in the bank briefcase because I don't want to be rude twice. So, but if he's willing to sign it, I'll bring it, Nick, if you're watching. So, I've never felt like a bigger idiot out in public with someone of his celebrity stature. Yes, Randy's celebrity stature. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I can remember another time. I was working in a shopping mall. I was working at a Foot Locker.
Okay.
And the year that WrestleMania 23 was at Ford Field in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
So majority of the wrestlers was in the mall because the mall at the time, they might still have it, but they had like a Bally's gym.
Okay.
A lot of wrestlers were going up there to work out, and then a lot of them were just walking around, just shopping, just chilling. I think I saw Bobby Lashley.
Love Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, he was on the third floor walking into the gym. I remember seeing, I think I saw Kelly Kelly, Gene Snitsky when he was in WWE, Kendrick and Paul London.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah, then a couple other people said that they saw Ric Flair, they saw John Cena, they saw Undertaker. Elijah Burke was there also. He actually came in Foot Locker, and then a lot of people were talking to him and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just pretty cool to just see all of them interacting and it's like all these people that you see on TV every week, and just being in front of them. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and definitely, that's what I like about the indies is that I get to rub shoulders with these guys. Me and my buddy Bob, like we would go to everything around here for Heavy on Wrestling because, they brought in Ted DiBiase, Gold Dust, before he went back to Dustin. I got to meet Ron Simmons. The Boogeyman freaked me out. It's just kind of cool to have that personal moment with them.
Yeah.
And it's also the other thing I like about the indies as well is meeting the next crop of people coming up because I like to say that I met them beforehand. Cora Jade, she was a staple there at First Wrestling as well.
Okay.
She went by Elena Black back then. Super nice girl. I think you truly enjoy independent wrestling. Like you said, you want to start some goals and stuff or get back into it. And, that's a great place to just, get your name out there. But it's fun. Some of those you get to have a beer and then talk smack and then go talk to them after and, try to apologize for, making fun of them in the ring. Or there's a local guy. Well, he's not local. He lives in Colorado. But he was at a show. And his name's Dak Draper. And he wears white gear. So when he was coming out, everybody was calling him Diaper Dak. And that's a chant that I took from another promotion to said promotion. Yeah. And I just would not let up that whole show yelling Diaper Dak, Diaper Daddy. I had just got my voice back from a cold and I razzed him so much that he just kept staring at me. And there was another wrestler, Little Nate. We called it the Little Nate Hate Section. He's a white rapper. And I would just make signs. He got a kick out of it. He'd rip my stuff up. So I made a Little Nate Hate Section with a poop emoji with his little tattoo that he had under his eye. Well, and I printed like 30 of those to hold up just because I want to be a douche in the front row. And a lady handed me one and she folded it over and it had the poop emoji and then section. So in reality, it was the shit section. And we all folded that down and we're holding them up for Dak Draper. And he literally looks right at me. He's like, where the hell did you get all these signs? And I was like, I don't know. But I had to go get my picture with him and I had to be like, pushed to his table. And as soon as I walk up, he's like, you. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I really respect your body of work. I just wanted to have fun. So I was legit scared of Dak Draper that day. If he's watching, I'm not afraid of you. I am. So, yeah. With that being said, now you said you met Elijah Burke when he came in. Is there any other wrestlers that you got to mingle with that you had a good time or bad time?
Um, no, actually, I was just seeing him walking by, so I was just like kind of just like amazed. You know what I'm saying? Just like wow, they just walking in the mall
Hmm.
like it's nothing. Cause I think I was on the middle. I think I was on the middle floor, and I looked up to the third floor, and I saw the Miz on his phone, and I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
wow, that's crazy. And then
Yep.
I saw Balls Mahoney walking around in the mall too. So it was just one of them things where it was like it was cool, but it was like you ain't want to bother him. And then I was at
Hmm.
work too, so I
Yeah.
ain't getting in trouble or anything like that. But the whole experience was cool. Just seeing people that I watched on TV all the time and seeing them in person, and it was cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's hard to differentiate celebrities from everyday life, but it is kind of weird when you see him just ordering a cheeseburger and you're like, he's just like me. They're probably not ordering a cheeseburger where I eat, but you know, I mean, I got an Otis body. I have his shape, but I do not have his strength. So that's why you only get to see the beard because that's my best quality. But so we're gonna put you on the hot spot here. Who are some of your favorite wrestlers now? Who stands out?
Woo,
Because
wow.
it's the only hard hitting question I have. That's not really hard hitting, but
Um, I could say Seth Rollins. I think
okay,
right.
respect, love
You know,
Seth. Yep.
I love the theme music. I love how he just had the crowd interact. I feel like any wrestler that can have the audience singing their music, you got it.
Hmm.
You got
Yep.
it. So he's one of my favorites. Um, John Moxley,
Okay.
Adam Cole, when he comes, I can't wait for him to come back. Keith Lee, um, to refer back to WWE wrestlers, Bianca Belair, she's definitely one of my
Oh,
favorites.
phenomenal. Yep. I love the braid as a whip. Strong as
Yeah,
anybody out there. When she picked up Otis, not to go back to Otis there, but a
yeah,
true athlete, the most physical, dominating woman,
yeah.
in this era for sure. Yeah.
Just everything that she's been able to
Mhm.
accomplish in the little that she's been on the main roster. I just think that's incredible. And
Mhm.
for her to be a woman of color, not to,
Yeah.
bring that
Nope.
in.
You're fine. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, but
So.
for her, being a woman of color and just everything that she's accomplished, and she's opening doors not just for women of color, but just women, period. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bayley, just everybody in WWE, Street Profits, the Usos, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. Like I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm a fan
Mhm.
of everybody. Everybody brings something different. So
Yep.
that element that you bring, I'm a like what you bring in this situation, and compared to what another might bring. But
Mhm.
I'm just a big fan of everybody.
And I mean, you mentioned the Street Profits. You got Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, which is a dynamic partnership, obviously in real life. But
Yeah,
Montez Ford and Bianca, that performance at the Elimination Chamber with Montez was unbelievable. I literally thought my TV was in fast forward the way he was moving around.
yeah,
Um, I mean, he's just so charismatic. I would love to see him and Seth keep mixing it up.
yeah,
Eventually bring the girls into it again because Becky and Belair. And I kind of feel like, not, might get some heat for this. Yes, I'm using a wrestling term. That the four horsewomen are kind of starting to finally take a back seat, which
yeah.
is nice.
I agree.
Obviously, Asuka was kind of standing out back in the day.
Yeah,
But it's nice to see Asuka getting more shine again.
yeah,
Bel Air. Who else is out there right now? I'm trying to think of just on the spot here. But like the four horsewomen are finally getting, to hang back and do other things instead of, holding down that division. Hopefully Nikki Cross comes out swinging
yeah,
versus that
yeah,
superhero gimmick that she did. Rhea Ripley, oh my gosh,
yeah.
another young talent ready to take over.
Yep.
Um, Liv Morgan. I'm not a huge fan of Liv because I feel like it's a lesser version of Alexa Bliss, but I mean, she's putting in the work. She's putting, the miles.
Yeah,
I got to give my props to, or flowers, as everybody says. I don't like that. It sounds weird. To Natalia for being such a longevity in that, and then Carmella in that Elimination Chamber match as well. Just
definitely.
I was just surprised that she had taken those steps, and a lot of new faces coming forward versus having the same 4 or 5. I know you have to have your stars, but at the end of the day, you still got to grow the talent, which they're doing phenomenal at.
Right.
So,
but I think also too, they kind of had to take a step back now that Sasha Banks is gone. You know what I'm saying? So
yep.
It's not really the 4 horsemen anymore. So it's just like, they got to do something. They got to put. They got to build new stars with the women's division, and what Mercedes Moné is doing over in New Japan. Like,
yep.
I think that's cool for her to come in and win the IWGP Women's title. That's cool. That was dope.
And that's going to build a bridge too, because eventually, we mentioned, Belair, Ripley, and all of them are going to, transcend to higher things. And Bayley's going to think, well, I've been here 10 years. I've, kind of accomplished a lot. Maybe I take the Sasha, and go over to, Japan, or try another company to reinvent myself. And that's only going to captivate more fans to get into women's wrestling.
Yeah. Women's wrestling has came a long way.
Yep. and I do enjoy it now. I was one of those people, it's the bathroom break match, and all that. So I mean, it's definitely worth watching now.
Some of their matches are better than some of the men's matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think what's missing, what WWE needs to do, and they should have did this a long time. It's time for the women to have a mid-card title, because
okay.
A lot of those wrestlers, a lot of the women wrestlers could use a mid-card title to elevate them, because right now on Raw, it's only Bianca Belair and Asuka fighting for the belt. Rhea Ripley's over at SmackDown. SmackDown really doesn't have any women contenders to compete against Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. It seemed like they just use the same women, but they just rotate them.
Yeah.
So for women like Nikki Cross, or maybe Liv Morgan, or maybe Xia Li, if they had a women's intercontinental title or a women's television title, I think what they should have did was took the 24/7 championship and made it a women's mid-card title, because that's, to me, if you think about it, that's a term that women use 24/7.
Yep.
If they would have gave the belt to somebody like Shayna Baszler, let her put a little prestige or take the belt serious, I think that should have been the women's mid-card title. They could have did it over, took that nasty green strap off of there, and just made it presentable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that's a pretty good concept. I know AEW's got their TBS title, but that's more for that realm. I kind of enjoy watching Jade Cargill on the streak. Everybody's complaining about how she needs to lose. It's like, just let it run with it. Asuka had a run, just let it happen. Eventually, it'll happen. Calm down.
Goldberg had a run.
Yeah. So now, this necessarily, when I say, how do I put this? In previous episodes with WCW, we mentioned that. I forgot to go back earlier. You watched that a lot. Obviously, we can see you're a fan of NWO.
Oh, yeah.
I have to ask this question because it's kind of a fun question to ask. What is your stance on Disco Inferno? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Just as a wrestler, period.
Wrestler, not the person. I know that gets a little sideways sometimes.
He wasn't bad.
Okay,
bad.
There we go. Everybody loves Disco. You hear that, Jesse?
and he was the television champion. So you know what I'm saying? Like, he came off as goofy because he was a disco dancer, but he was a pretty good wrestler.
Yeah, it's a vast majority. Everybody kind of enjoyed Disco. My buddy Jesse, he looks at it both sides, like person and character, and I'm just going to give them shit now. Be like, hey, got another disco fan. Chalk that on my board. So they're a rival podcast that I like to take cheap shots, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, WCW was my jam. The NWO was phenomenal, but then it kind of lost its wheels. But that core group of Hogan, Nash, R.I.P. Scott Hall.
Scott Hall, rest in peace. Yep.
Yeah, just a year ago, we lost one of the greats. But yeah, those three were definitely awesome, and it's cool to see. I know people hate it, but like the love for Hall, Nash, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, Triple H, and those guys, just that camaraderie is what I strive, in my wrestling family and friends and stuff.
Definitely.
It's just so cool that after all those years, they're still getting together, having a blast, and they generally care about each other. But yet, there's the politics in it. But I'm just like, that's pretty cool to have your friends that long. So.
Yeah, and that's crazy. All of them were in two of the greatest factions of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were in both of them. So you know what I'm saying. So a lot of people don't realize, if you didn't watch wrestling back in the day, or if you just reading up on the NWO was big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you took two of WWE's top up and coming stars, even though Nash did win the world title and Scott Hall was famous for his ladder matches and being the Intercontinental Champion.
Mm-hmm.
They took two of their top stars, and then you got one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Hulk Hogan. He turns heel, reinvents himself, and it just turns into this big thing. If you had an NWO shirt back in the day, when I was in high school, you was cool.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you had an Austin 316, a DX, or a Rock t-shirt, you was still cool, because that's what everybody was talking about during that time, during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars.
So with that being said, another hard-hitting question, because I just thought of it. So you got Hogan, Nash, Hall, and X-Pac versus the Bloodline. Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to cheer for? Who's going to go over? This is your fantasy booking / your match to call here. Who are you picking?
The NWO versus the Bloodline. So Hall, Nash, Hogan,
and X-Pac,
and X-Pac versus the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll leave Sammy out. No disrespect to Sammy, but
talent-wise, I think I would I definitely would be rooting for the NWO, but I think talent-wise, I would have to go with the Bloodline.
Oh, definitely talent-wise. I got to agree there. Yep.
Bloodline. Yeah. And the only big man that they got on the NWO would be Kevin Nash.
Mm.
But I think eventually, you know what I'm saying, during the match, they would break him down. You know what I'm saying? Solo would take care of X-Pac. I think, like I said, the Usos, I think they could take care of Hall and Nash, but it would definitely be a fight. And Hogan versus Roman, that would be a fight too. But I think Roman would get Hogan.
Yeah, I can definitely see it now. I can see, they call it bumping, or, I don't like using wrestling terms because I'm not a wrestler, but just, watching, the Usos bounce around for Nash and Hall, and Hall just getting the crowd going with those subtle little teas like flicking the toothpick. That would just be a banger of a match, because the Usos would just have to carry Nash in his quad, but and to make that stupid joke. But
and another thing to think about too, Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, as the managers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you just elevated it to from a 10 to a 12. I forgot. This is why you're here.
And just think about how the promos would be
between
those two.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that would be classic.
Yeah. And I can just see Roman and Hogan. Obviously, again, Roman's going to be taking a lot of the work. And again, that's the cool thing about old school wrestling, is they didn't have to do much.
Yep.
And you still got sucked in. Whereas new, they have a different way of doing it. But I mean, I'm a huge Uso fan. Love those guys. Liked them all the way back to the face paint. I thought they were unique.
Oh yeah.
And I loved Umaga. I love a lot of the Samoan wrestlers. Yokozuna was a favorite.
Yeah,
But I think
definitely.
Umaga out of all of them is probably my top Samoan wrestler.
And
I love the Samoan Spike. On the last episode, I talked about how that's one of my favorite finishers to use on a video game. I know it's not the coolest, but it's one of my favorite. You
yeah,
know,
and if people peep, Solo Sokoa is definitely is taking like the style of Umaga. He's basically
hmm
became the Umaga of the bloodline.
yep,
A lot of stuff that Umaga used to do in the ring, Solo Sokoa does now. He
nice.
does a lot of Umaga's moves like the spike, the the move on the turnbuckle, and then just the taunts that he does in the ring
Mhm.
is definitely he definitely got that from Umaga.
It'd definitely be cool to see him use the face paint. Once the bloodline thing's over, if he
Yeah,
becomes like the good guy or the face, that'd be kind of a cool homage to Umaga.
yeah.
I just remember him. Samoan Bulldozer just making a splash on the scene. We talked about how imagine
Yeah,
him beating John Cena and holding the title. It would have been pretty legit.
yeah,
I mean, you can't
definitely.
compare, someone of that stature and intimidating. I mean, I could believe him as a champ for sure. You know,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
With the bloodline, it's going to be exciting to see what happens. I'm excited for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Do you have
definitely.
any predictions? This will air just before WrestleMania. Any predictions for that? And then we'll start to wrap it up here.
Um, I definitely think Cody's gonna beat Roman.
Okay.
I know they haven't announced it yet on WWE, but it's gonna be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens against the Usos.
hmm
And I think they're gonna Sammy and Kevin's gonna win that match. That's when you're gonna see the bloodline crumble. I
Gotcha.
think. Especially the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania, yeah, those are gonna be big.
Mhm.
Another prediction. The matches that I'm interested in that the women's title matches I think are gonna be good
Mhm.
because Bianca Belair and Asuka, that's
Oh,
gonna be two different styles.
that's gonna
And
be a banger.
yeah, and Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, just the rivalries that they've had in the past,
Yep.
and now Rhea, she's not that NXT Rhea Ripley. Like
Mhm.
she's established herself now.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? She's basically turned into like the new China
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
WWE now. So
Like, I'm getting
those are
goosebumps
those are
thinking
the
of her.
matches
Just
that I
yeah.
those are the matches that I'm gonna be interested in. And I think this is gonna be the match of the night. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
can
gonna
see
be the
that.
match
Yeah.
of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he gets a lot of crap for his social media stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
respect the grind. He's kind of a what, but at the end of the day, he is bringing viewership to what he's doing, and
Oh
they
yeah.
always have a celebrity match, and I don't care what people say. It's to bring in people. It's your marquee event. You have to get eyes on your product. I would be stupid not to get like someone on here and not utilize that.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah.
the wrestlers I've had on: Eric Cannon, Derek Corbin, Ref Clark. Those guys are bringing me the views, as well as Abby, not Loopy, but like it's you have to do business, and I understand why they're doing it. And like you said, it's going to be a banger of a match. I mean, look at Bad Bunny a couple of years ago at
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was there during the pandemic. I got lucky because I was in Florida visiting my grandma, but
Cool.
that match had me on a roller coaster that whole time, and I was like, "Holy cow, man! This is like the best match I've ever seen right now."
Yeah, yeah. And I think another sleeper that this last one, I think sleeper at WrestleMania, um, Gunther. I think he's gonna end up wrestling Sheamus and Drew McIntyre when it's all said and done. But I think
Oh, okay.
that's gonna be a sleeper as one of the top matches at WrestleMania, night 1 or 2.
hmm I would definitely love to see him versus Brock. I know they kind of did that, then they kind of turned it a little
Yeah,
bit. That would be definitely one for you if you get to go to SummerSlam in Detroit. There, that'd
man.
be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that'd be like the icing on the cake
Right?
for real.
Yeah, you should definitely look into some of those access things they have. Now they're doing more of those, like where you can meet them the day before and
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah. Yeah,
then you can tell them to.
I hope they have something like that there. I'm definitely gonna try to go to
There
that
you
too.
go. All righty. Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming on. And again, I keep mentioning it. You're new to the page. You're officially a friend of the Squared Circle. Is there any
Appreciate it.
social medias that you want to promote? If not, everybody's different. I know I got my own shtick here, but the floor is yours to plug anything or.
Yeah, just want to shout out my city, Detroit. Just want to say hello to my wife, and if you're on Instagram, catch me, Mike D1024. That's Mike _ D1024, and that's about it. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it, and hopefully have another opportunity.
Yeah, definitely get you on. I had a great conversation. We can dive in more to some other things. We'll pick, usually what I do is just get you introduced to the fans or the friends.
Okay.
And then, part two, we just dive into more. And if your
Oh, yeah.
wife is ever interested in coming on, we get you both on and you guys can talk about how wrestling in your relationship works. I mean, I'm cool with more friends. It's always great to have the female perspective of it. Usually I bring Abby in. She's a guest host because she asks more of those questions that I don't think of when it pertains to women's wrestling. So,
Okay.
because
Definitely.
the girls like the gear, they like the hair, they like the makeup and stuff like that, and that's something that I don't think of when I'm watching it.
Hey, my
Because for
wife.
me, it's like, how big is the guy? How strong is he? How fast?
Yeah.
Like I said, they're looking at other things, and that's a great perspective. So.
Yeah, hey, she's the same way, but she's kind of like me. She's real into it like I am too, and it was just it's cool to have a mate that likes wrestling just like I do, because it make it easy to sit and watch Raw and SmackDown or
Right.
any of the pay-per-views and stuff. So I'm definitely blessed on that end.
Nice. Yeah, my fiance Randy, take a shot. She likes to go to the Independence with me because she gets to drink, and then she gets to watch me act like a fool, and then she gets bubbly, and she's having a good time. So.
Hey, it's always as long as you can go to a wrestling
Yep.
show, have a couple drinks, and have a good time. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we're definitely going to one this Saturday, so I'm pretty excited for that. So she's excited to get out with her friends and drink. I'm there for the wrestlers, so I can promote some more of the Friends of the Squared Circle. So.
Hey, cool.
All righty, Mike. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Thanks for being interested. We'll put you in the lounge. Don't leave me there. I'll plug these ads, and then we'll talk off camera.
All right, cool.
All right, perfect. Be right with you there.
All right.
All right, friends. That is another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, as you know, but let's get those sponsors out of the way. We have got Superior Creations there for all your custom tumbler needs. As you can see, Hornswoggle there has one, Rikishi, Joey Sierra, The System, and Rampage Jackson. Rampage Santana, Rampage Jackson. What am I doing? This isn't the UFC. As well as 13 cards subject to change. The boys over there at the Rival Podcast, make sure you like them on all social medias as well. Make sure you comment cool second place beard Leroy, because he loves hearing about his second place beard, as well as our sponsor here at Friends of the Squared Circle, Darren Corbin. You can give Darren Corbin a follow on all social medias there. You can check out his Patreon at patreon.com for more Corbin updates. Also, we have merchandise. Yes, I am like a Russian doll. I am so full of myself. Check out friendsofthesquaredcircle.org for your t-shirts now. As you can see, the Let's Be Friends on the back, because we want to make new friends here. Also, a new sponsor here at Friends of the Squared Circle, Chef Keith's Foods there, downtown St. Paul's Farmers Market is the way to find him. He's going to get me some more information. We're just starting this partnership. I am excited. He makes salsas. I am a taco eating machine. They got salsa flavors of Ragin' Reaper, Hoppin' Habanero, Black Bean and Corn, one of my favorite salsas, as well as he's got Groovy Garden. Give him a like there and check out his website. I'm excited to get those goodies so I can snack on them. And another way to find us, here's all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're really pushing the Facebook and the YouTube, so give us a like and follow and be like Mike and be a future guest on Friends of the Squared Circle. And as always, it's your boy, Crander Q out.